Okay, well, the National Federation of Independent Business survey for May showing a slight increase in small business optimism. But the NFIB's chief economist Bill Dunkelberg says that many small businesses struggling with soft sales.
30% tell you that the big problem they have is that they don't have any customers, weak sales. That's the top problem that we face. So, you know, if consumers suddenly decided to go spend a lot of money, we'd be doing well.
Lloyd Chapman is president and founder of the American Small Business League, and Belinda Guadarrama is president and CEO of GC Micro Corporation. That's a supplier of computer hardware and software products to federal agencies and Fortune 1000 companies. Thanks very much for joining us, both of you. Lloyd, let me get to you first of all. I mean, the government has spent billions and billions of dollars in trying to stimulate the economy. Why is it not flowing through to small businesses as much as you'd like?
Well, they've directed all the money to large corporations. So even though small businesses create 100% of all the net new jobs, and most Americans work for small businesses, they've only gotten about 3% of the stimulus funds. So the answer to your question, that's by design. That's how the Obama administration designed it. And worse than that, there's existing federal programs that are supposed to direct about $150 billion a year in federal infrastructure spending to small businesses, and that's being diverted to Fortune 500 corporations. So small businesses are really
struggling. Why is that happening? Was that the intention or just like an unintended consequence?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's happening because the government has adopted policies, as crazy as it may seem, to allow Fortune 500 firms to get federal small business contracts. And there's been a dozen investigations that have reported that. It's been named the #1 challenge at the SBA, and yet Congress has refused to act on it. Even President Obama, during the campaign, said it's time to end the diversion of federal small business contracts to corporate giants, but he hasn't done anything.
Belinda, to be fair, though, there have been many plans out of Washington targeted at small businesses, and maybe they haven't worked, to Lloyd's point, but there have been tons in terms of loan guarantees and all kinds of programs. There was a while, it felt like every other week we had a new one. Would you, have you been able to utilize any of them, or would you agree that in practice it's been pretty much worthless for you?
I think in practice it's pretty much been worthless. The concern that I see is that President Obama keeps focusing on access to capital. As a small business, I don't need access to capital. What I need is access to contracts. I need more of the small business programs that were set up for small businesses, for that funding to actually go to small businesses and not large corporations.
So what, the contracts, the government contracts being handed out are just too big for small companies like yours to digest?
Oh, no, I don't believe that at all. I believe it's just a matter of there's been a lot of diversion to large businesses. I think it's business as usual. Federal government has always worked with large corporations, and to actually try to meet the 25% goal to work with the small businesses, by working with large businesses, they just haven't had to do it. We're still sitting here. We're ready. We're willing. We're able to do the business. We just need the federal government to focus more on small businesses.
And Belinda, we also see that you're hiring right now, looking for sales and account managers. That's great. We need more small businesses to do that as well, don't we?
Yep. Lloyd and Belinda, thank you.
Absolutely.
It is a tough one, though, Mandy, because you know, they raise the point it's not working. But there have been so many programs for small businesses. So maybe it's just because they're so small and dispersed. How do you, where is the bottleneck? I don't think anyone knows. But we'll have much more on that GM.